a lubricant for jobs that doesn't like rub off.
Oh God.
Oh,
Okay,
there's
I just got a notification.
There's a possibility that for some reason the stream
Rub
key
off.
was changed.
Oh God.
Oh,
Okay,
there's
I
really.
just got a notification.
That's weird.
Well, that's some shit.
There's a
right now.
possibility.
Yeah. Lord knows I haven't touched it. At least I don't recall doing it. Yeah. Lord knows I haven't touched it.
Ow, fuck.
Hey, Chris. We're live, Chester.
Oh, so y'all heard me just like
Yep.
smack my knee on my desk and go, "Ow, fuck."
Yep.
Oh, I didn't hear the oh fuck part, but I didn't hear the smack me. I don't know. Something. So, Chris, since you're in the chat, are you hearing the birds chirping?
Is since this is all new for me, is my like background okay? Do I need to adjust my camera?
I think it looks
The
fine.
background looks okay.
It looks like you only have one light on, though. Don't you have two?
Yeah.
It's the pre-show. The pre-show. Listen while we fuck with the pre-show.
Leave it to you, David, to turn
How
it
does
into
that
like a
work?
musical number.
That kind of reminded me of the song that they do in like Warner Brothers cartoons.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Kind of.
Rob
Copyright.
Paulson is one of the voice actors in Hollywood that does a lot of voices.
And also does a podcast called Talking Tunes.
Yes, and he was on a podcast, well, a YouTube show I watched today, watched and listened to, called Speech Bubble, I think. But anyways, he's the voice of Yakko from the Animaniacs and many other
Yep.
things. And Brain, I think, from Pinky and the Brain.
No, Pinky.
Nice.
Pinky. But anyways, it's so comical to listen to voice actors talk to each other, and then they do goofy stuff. And then over on Nerdist, they have that one show where they like read script in other voices.
Talking Tunes.
So, Grand Moff Tarkin as Cinderella is very twisted.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And the guy who voiced Obi-Wan Kenobi from Clone Wars in last episode of Talking Tunes.
Yeah, I saw that part where he talked about how he was doing Ian McGregor and Sir Alec Guinness and something else, like, and was blending them together, kind of.
He was doing Ewan McGregor, doing Alec Guinness, doing Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that.
What am I looking at?
It's Ginger.
Oh yeah, Ginger with Scruff. I saw that.
Yeah.
I was gonna comment, but it was public to the world, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm not saying that."
They'll make some stuff.
There was a video I saw of the two of the voice actors on Steven Universe, the one who does
Pearl.
no Amethyst and Steven, and it was the two of them, and they were at Universal Studios, and all of a sudden they both decided to talk in their character voices as Steven and Amethyst about being at Universal Studios, and it was so hilarious.
Wow.
I wonder, is that where Hadrian went? Because he posted, and in the past 2 weeks, I think.
From that same time.
Yeah, because they had a signing event or something.
Yeah, it's from same weekend.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to find the video. Hilarious. I'm glad that our pre-show does not show the video.
Why?
Because I'm scarfed now Girl Scout cookies.
It's appropriate for my shirt.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, do you deserve cookies?
I paid for them.
He's not getting the reference, apparently.
No, he's ignoring it, I think.
No, I got the reference. Yeah, exactly. Having it.
I paid for the steaky, so I get my cookies.
I went to the pharmacy last week to pick up my mom's prescription, and there was a table in the pharmacy. It's a local pharmacist, and anyways, they had a table for cookies, and what were they promoting? They had a cute little like saying or something, but then I was so annoyed with them because they had this bright orange, like, burst, like, you know, that jagged kind of medallion sticker shape or whatever. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I had to pay really close attention. And they had taken with like a fine, like an ultra fine black marker and put a $sign and a number 4. And I was like, y'all need to go back to marketing. Like, the price is the most important thing. Nobody gives a shit about your like hodgepodge, crafty, glittery, like cute saying thing. Like, people want to know what the hell the price of the cookies are. I was like,
the cookies.
I was like, really?
I want some cookies.
So
I was
call.
I think yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. On our way to potluck, we stopped at a Kroger, and they were sitting there selling their Girl Scouts cookies, and they were in the corner. And I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna walk right past that shit," because I would have sat there and been like, I want some of those, and some of those, and some of those, and some of those. And so,
I was on. We were on our way to a gaming party yesterday. Had to stop at Walmart to pick up a bunch of soda. Same thing. As we're walking into the store, I see a girl, a older woman, a little girl. There was actually a dad there. They're selling cookies outside the entrance to Walmart. So I text our gaming group, "Hey, does anybody want Girl Scout cookies?" Next thing you know, somebody pops on there like, "Yes, sign me the fuck up."
Yeah.
Okay, what do you
and
want?
It was good
5 boxes
because
of Samoas.
by the time we got out, they had already taken everything down. They didn't have any more boxes out. So I was like, yes, good. Missed that temptation. Thank God for that.
Girl Scout cookies, Chester.
Oh, duh.
It's okay. I had to think for a second too. I was like, what? Oh.
I still have those Thin Mints in my freezer. I should bust those out after the show.
In the freezer are the best.
So, and it's funny because here's what has happened. Somehow, magically, I have Girl Scout cookies at work. I didn't order Girl Scout cookies. I didn't request Girl Scout cookies. But when I came into work like a week ago, there were 2 boxes sitting on my desk.
Maybe they were placed there incorrectly, like they were for somebody else.
Well, if they were, they're being eaten now. So I waited.
You may have stolen somebody's cookies.
I waited a week.
I was gonna say, David's like, no. Like, I gave you spoiler time. You did not come back and reclaim.
No, claimed them. No one was like, "Oh, those are mine," or whatever. I was just like, "Okay, well, I gave you a week, so now they are."
Somebody just thought you, as a gift, decided to give you some Girl Scout cookies. I ordered too many. I think Damon would like these.
I bet it's something along those lines. They're like, "Hey, this fat guy likes cookies. Let's give him some cookies." The reason it's scary, it's weird, is because there's not that many people on our floor to begin with now, and it's like, so I'm hoping. I have a feeling I know who it was, but I didn't. I'm fine with her giving me stuff because she tends to do that all the time. Is she just randomly like has Like she bakes sometimes and other things, but she will give me stuff to just like have. Like,
right.
It's just like I know you'll eat it and it's true. I will fucking eat it. So like, here you go. Like, but it was weird because she didn't say anything and she didn't mention it, and they just showed up, and there was no note or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold on to these for a little bit, and if something happens or someone says anything, all right, cool, you can get your cookies back. But if not, they're mine now. And don't worry, they will go to a very wonderful place called
my belly.
So,
do you guys remember the scene in Wreck-It Ralph where Ralph is in his little therapy session and Satan is consoling him, and Ralph says, "Thanks, Satan." And Satan replies back, "It's Satine." Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I barely remember it.
So I just came across a meme with Wreck-It Ralph and Satan that says, "Thanks, Satan." Satan's reply back is, "It's Aja, actually."
Oh, snap.
Well,
Nice.
Maybe I should have saved that for Drag Race.
In the live chat, Chuck says, "Someone leave shit on my desk. I'm keeping."
I mean, we were talking about flagging Brown last week, but
Oh, stop it.
Whoa!
Stop.
Damn.
Oh,
Where did that come from?
Well, you said leaving shit on the desk.
Oh.
As a point of clarification,
2 weeks.
I am direct quoting.
Again, anyway, there's that. Let's move right along.
Oh, I do.
Are we?
Wreck-It Ralph on my iTunes. Oh, cool.
Ah, nice.
Has anyone seen the trailer for the new one yet? I'm so excited.
No, I haven't yet. I've been wanting to.
I have.
And I have one thing to say.
I have a crush on Ralph. I'm just going to own it.
Oh,
Understandable.
he's gonna wreck it.
Ralph and Baymax together?
Yeah. No.
I'm thinking about it, but I'm afraid Ralph would deflate Baymax. But of course, then that would be a thing. That would be a meme, because then when they're done, of course, Baymax would say, "Was my service?
Are you satisfied with my care? With your care?
Are you satisfied with my service?"
Yeah. Oh boy.
That could be a porn.
it's a new T-shirt. Are you satisfied with my service?
Smashy. Anyways, are we ready to start?
All right.
Anywho, let's get going.
Fire her up.
Let's do this thing. Where is it? All right. 3, 2. It's March 18th, 2018. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I am Chester.
This room is a pigsty, and you're a dirty pig boy.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
Welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Vintage Terminal Length, episode number 458. And It's time to switch on, off, on, off, on, off. Okay, maybe later. So recently, like within the past month and a half, somewhere around there, getting ready for the new expansion for World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth. They released 4 ally races, which if you level them from, but they start at 20 instead of 0. So leveling them from 20 to 110, get them to max level, you get a reward of a Heritage Armor Transmog. And so that you have space to do it without having to delete characters, they give you 4 extra character slots per server. So I filled every single one of those character slots. I'm on 2 servers, so that's actually a total of 8. And I've got a Void Elf, a Lightforged Draenei, a Nightborn, and a High Mountain Tauren. I actually have 2, but one of them I boosted to 110. But for all the ones that I had to do fresh leveling for, I started leveling them to kind of keep things kind of interesting. They're leveling in different zones, and I'm doing each of them 5 levels at a time, just kind of cycling through them. So I'm not always doing the same type of character, and it just kind of provides a variety thing. And I did that pretty much all day yesterday and part of the day today, because then I ended up having some other things I needed to do, show-wise and such. So, and so it's been just kind of with the weather heating up too, it's just kind of this nice casual thing that I can do and not have to worry about any drastic things. But it's been fun. It's been serene, you could say. Damon?
As we hear the birds chirping in the background.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Look, it is 78 degrees here. I really don't feel like I have any reason to actually turn on the air conditioning. So I've got my doors open. I got my fans on. And I'm trying to keep it circulating. So if anything, just for those people listening to the podcast, pretend we're doing a podcast outdoors. We're flagging mosquito net.
Nice.
There's a shout out to the Entourage chat.
Nice. Well, for me, I went to a bear potluck last night. That was pretty cool. Pretty mundane, but it's a thing to do. And then today, after brunch, Jim and I decided to go see the Black Panther movie. And oh my God, did I have such a fucking amazing time watching that. Mm-hmm. It's so well done. It's such a great movie. It's the best. I know it's the best Marvel movie I've seen. Hands down. The story was good. The action was great. The just overall aspect of it and look of it and feel of it was amazing. And it's a really, like I said, it's a really awesome story. So yeah, very much enjoyed it. Really happy to do it. And I literally came off of that, came home, had dinner, and now I'm here. Hi.
So you are coming down off of your Wakanda high.
Basically.
Cool.
It was so fucking good. So yeah. Chester, how about you?
Well, as you know, I was not here last week because I've had computer issues, which I almost threw the whole fucking system out the window. But thankfully,
I don't know what that's like.
I had a spare 500 gigabyte SSD drive just sitting in one of my cabinets. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to reinstall Windows Windows fresh, and that's what I did. So
Wait,
Nice.
you had what just sitting around?
a 500 gigabyte SSD drive.
Really? Just randomly got a half a terabyte?
Yeah, I bought it.
Drive?
I bought it quite some time ago, like a year or two, and it's just been sitting there because I wanted to take my old SD
Okay.
and just clone it onto the new one, and I could never figure out how to do it. But I didn't, because if I did and my 500 gigabyte crashed, then I would be all sorts of fucked. So
Yeah.
I've been wanting to reinstall Windows fresh anyway, so
Now you have. Probably not for the reason you wanted to, but
I'm reading the chat. Oh my god.
what did I miss?
Chuck. Oh my god.
So continuing on, I'm just going to ignore that. I did get a new job, and I start in 2-3 weeks, I think. I have to look at the calendar. But I got a new job. It's with Franklin County, so it's a government position, Monday through Friday, weekends off, all sorts of paid. I get a ridiculous amount of paid holidays, and
Yeah.
time off, and all sorts of other shit. I'm super, super excited because Evan just started his job last Monday. He's working, day shift, Monday through Friday. Holy fuck, we both have weekends off now. It's great.
Yay!
I have so many...
So, can you briefly, generically describe what Evan switched to? Because he left Target.
He I don't know what his title is, but he is doing something similar to what he used to do back in Grand Forks, and that's helping mentally handicapped individuals.
Yay.
Now he's going to be a transportation and job coach. One of his perks is he gets a company vehicle, like a caravan, minivan, and he gets to bring it home with him every day.
Yay!
Okay.
Wow.
This
No more.
sounds.
He doesn't have to use gas or mileage going to and from work. He's making more than me. Fuck. I'm gonna have to start calling him down now.
Daddy Cub? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm really glad.
Top.
I guess I'm gonna have to come visit Columbus and have you both rub off on me so I can get a nice new job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take pictures?
And
Video?
then so that's kind of what's been going on in general. And then yesterday, as you guys know, I go to my friend Jason and Jeff's often whenever I can for game night. I haven't been able to go for quite some time because work on Thursday nights, and we record the podcast on Sunday. So I haven't been able to go in 2.5 months. So yesterday I called in sick and said fuck work, and Evan and I went over to game day. It started at noon. We got there and typically we leave by 5-6 p.m., but we were there until probably 10:30. So almost 12 hours we were there, and just playing games, hanging out with people. At some point, we watched both iterations of Charlie's Angels, so that was fun. There's a bunch of people who have never seen it, so we were all sitting there, loving parts of Lucy Liu as a dominatrix and that kind of stuff. I played a new game. I've been wanting to play a game called Unfair. if you have never played it and you want to play it, a lot of time for it, because there were 5 of us that played it last night, and it took us about 3.5 hours.
Wow.
We were not prepared to spend that much time.
Wow. That sounds like the game of life. Like, you can, for the board game, there's like a cheat version where you like, I think you already start with a family, a relationship, a job, and a house.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or you can do the traditional, which is why I think some people don't like playing it, because they're like, that'll take forever. And I think there's also I think there's a short version for Monopoly too, where you start off with like a couple properties.
I think a lot of the Monopoly
that's how
shortens.
my family.
A lot of the Monopoly
used
shortens.
to play it.
A lot of the Monopoly shortens that I've had was just like timed, where it's like we're gonna play for such amount of time, and whoever has the most money and most properties wins.
Oh, I think we're too competitive. Whenever I played it with like family or friends, it's like, nope, we're playing until somebody has Monopoly.
So it's the only
My
game
family
you play.
we used to take all the properties, shuffle them up, and then deal them out.
Huh.
That
That's
works.
what you were stuck with, and then you started trading from there.
Huh. Interesting.
Huh.
The way I
So
would play
that
it-
was me. Gary.
The countdown is on.
Dun, dun, dun.
To which one?
It's for Drench Fur. So we're entering the last month. We have a couple weeks to go. I set a goal for myself to try to have as much done as possible by the end of the month, by the end of March, but we'll see how it happens. So like earlier before the podcast, earlier today, we had a committee call/meeting, and now we're going to have 2 of them every single week. So we're having a weekly meeting, and not everyone can make the same meeting, so I'm doing 2 a week. And so this afternoon we had one, and we're having another one Tuesday night. And in between those 2, some other stuff came up, and I had 3 different chats going, and an email, and a contract to sign, scan, send back. It was a lot of stuff. So yeah, welcome to the insanity of the kind of that stuff. I'm balancing.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm kind of excited. We got another sponsor for an event lined up and taken care of. We have one more kind of waiting in the wings. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'm starting to get excited. Just it's that I'm working on it and all that jazz.
It. I know it's on my calendar. I keep seeing it, and I keep having to remind myself, ooh, I got to get all my gear ready. Ooh, I got to clean my gear. Oh, I've got to get these things, So it's a good thing you're reminding me again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I in fact I told AJ, I said this coming week and like this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then through the rest of it, I'm probably going to take an hour a day, probably in the morning, and literally think through, if this was the run, what is everything that's happening today, and then breaking it all down further and being like, okay, this is what's happening. What are our materials? What are the people? What are we thinking about? So I can try to make sure I cover all the bases, because of course, in silly fashion, we've added more things this year. So now I'm getting nervous about forgetting about things, because like today someone said in a chat message, they're like, hey, did you talk to the committee about this? No. I forgot about that. And that was something we discussed like 3 weeks ago. So now I'm going to bring it up on Tuesday's meeting. And it's just things of that nature that I'm like, I just don't want to have things slip through the cracks. So, but
Yeah.
I got some significant stuff knocked out last week. I went and visited the locations for the beer and wine tours. I went to the water park, signed the contract, got that squared up. So yeah, it's a series of stuff.
Things.
Yeah. So tomorrow was more phone calls and running around town and that kind of stuff. But that's it for me.
Cool. So we're going into this.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at zazzle.com/cubsoutloud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
Gary, what you wearing?
It's kind of a personal question.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I ask it every week.
Yeah, because you're fucking nosy as shit like that. Oh, this? You mean this? This. Yeah. This is original logo on dark before we knew what we were doing. I say on dark because it's not really a dark color, but I think it qualifies as dark on the website for Zazzle. But yeah, this is kind of like the mossy green. I'm trying to not wear the same thing all the time, which sounds kind of pathetic given how much stuff I have in the closet here in the office. But
well, hey, what can you do? I'm wearing the now that we're sticky, here's your cookie shirt. Which, by the way, I'm going to switch over to the website where you can purchase all these at Zazzle.com. Oh, let me get the window here. There we go. And hey, check this out. Right at the top, you should see the Smashy collection. So you can see all these Smashy design shirts. We've got the one I'm wearing. We've got 2 versions of the Sloppy Bottom 23 shirt. And we have the brand spanking new Consent is My Foreplay shirts. There's actually let me go into this collection here. There's 3 different designs, 2 different versions each, so there's 6 of them, but they're designed to be on the type of shirt that they're on. So like on the dark shirts it's the white text, and on the light shirts it's the black text. So that's why there's 2 separate things of the same one. But we have bear, leather, and pup. And by the way, Smashy has ordered one of these already. So, so
he kind of gets, first dibs.
But if you're looking for these type of designs, they're all in a collection, so you can easily do that. Also on the store, if you click on the collections, you'll see 4 different collections, which basically each of them show for the 3 different logos, and then anything that Smashes will be in that Smashy collection. First gen and second gen are kind of like have the same products, 4 same products. There's 32 different products you can get with the current generation logo. So.
Now, before we went live, we were doing some testing because we were having some issues. So I just want to let folks know, if you don't see the new shirt designs that come in, you may have to sign in to Zazzle. So if you've previously ordered, you should already have an account unless you checked out as a guest. But if you have an account with them and you sign in, and then you stay signed in and you go to zazzle.com/cubsoutloud, you should be able to see the new stuff. We're not quite sure what the whole story was, that some of it wasn't appearing until you were signed in and all that jazz. But
it should be fine now. But
yeah,
just sign in. You can create an account. It's free, no charge. You don't have to purchase anything to create it, just to be able to look at it. So, hopefully soon you can just go to it without logging in right away. So
Yeah. And obviously a big shout out and thank you to Smashy for working on this stuff for us. He helped, has doing some different imaging things for us. And this shirt was a long time coming in terms of, I had talked to him and I think to you guys as co-hosts, like I thought it would be cool if we came up with something. And then this is what he spun out. And I love the fact that we have the 3 different concepts. So there's a bear paw, there's a bone, and then there's the heart. So hence there's like pup, leather, and bear. And of course you can get one of each if you want.
Yeah.
You could even get a light and a dark, and then you'd have 6 days of the week covered. So
yeah. And then on the weekends, when you're going out to the bar, throw on your sloppy bottom 23 shirt, or now that we're sticking, use your cookie shirt.
Or on Sunday you can rest because you've been out all week.
True.
And just now
go to church and be on your knees.
Or
you go.
You can get the COL boxers. Just wear those all day.
I want Zazzle to bring back the fucking boxer brief. I'm still pissed at them that they've been out of stock for like a whole year.
Now that would be a fun thing to have. Consider my foreplay on a boxer brief.
That can happen.
Oh, that's true. We could consider that.
Well, boxers, because the boxer briefs, which would be cool,
are out of stock or something. Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
but to answer to Aaron in live chat, he asked, "Will there be a meetup of COL listeners at DF?" Maybe. It isn't officially planned, but I have to figure out what we're doing because, to be honest, half of us as co-hosts are going to be at the run, and I was like, maybe we'll record a show. I got to figure out how we're going to make that work. We'll see. We may end up recording something and not go live to YouTube. I don't know.
Well, last year we grouped up with the guys from Underbear's podcast, and is it podcast or webcast? No, either way,
podcast,
we grouped up with Underbear's and did a joint venture in our underwear.
We did.
And no one had Cubs Out Loud boxers on.
Anyway.
All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Gary, what's been going on over in the Facebooks?
We got a couple of likes over in the Facebook land. We want to thank the following individuals for liking us on Facebook. Rodriguez Flores Arthur and Duke Ruff.
Hi.
And we also got Facebook comments on COL458, which was the NAB on OTR show. Tunky said, "Thank you guys for mentioning me and my clothes on the last podcast."
You're welcome.
That's been there for a couple of weeks. I kept forgetting to put it in there. COL457, Bear Positivity, which was our last episode. Joshua Pangborn. I wonder who that is. He said, "Great topic." So Mr. Skeleton Crew himself. And then Duke Ruff, who just recently liked us on Facebook, he just put a general comment on our Facebook page instead of specific to an episode, and he said, "Thanks for all you studs do. Love the show."
Aww.
Yay.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Damon, what's been going on over the YouTubes?
We have a new YouTube subscriber, and I'm just going to call this DP31, although it's 3 I's, I believe. But DP31, and when we got a YouTube comment on episode 457, the Bear Positivity episode, and it's from Fur and Teeth, and he says, "Sad if bear men who are in the community don't see themselves as sexy."
Oh.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chester, how about over in the Twitters and Tumblrs?
We have one new Twitter follower, and I hope I pronounced his name correctly. It's German, and I believe it's pronounced Mike Wagner 7.
Cool.
We also have 4 new Tumblr followers: Chubby Boy 0612, Trekkie Nut 26, Thick Bear Lover, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Untitled 1989.
Nice. Welcome.
Welcome. So
I'm busy looking at Thick Bear Lover's Tumblr. Hey, if you're gonna have a Tumblr account like that, I'm gonna check out your stuff and see if it gets posted. It has Pup Dozer written all over it. Sorry,
Gary. Does that turn you on?
Does what turn me on?
It's Tumblr, and also this is a segue.
Is that what you're doing? There's that.
That kind of didn't land.
Because I didn't let it. I'm not a good participant.
You're not a good participant in the segues.
Yeah, not a good improver that way. So this actually comes sort of from the Entourage, and I can't remember how this came up, but there was a discussion about this topic for today, which is turn-offs and turn-ons.
Actually,
I know how it came
Chester.
up.
It was Chester.
Because I came into chat one day and I said bad breath is an instant turn-off.
There we go.
So so I have to ask the question, Chester, since you kind of started it. Was this due to an experience, considering where you're going to the gym, as an example?
No,
or was
we were at Trident's Bar Night. It was furry themed, by the way. Maybe you saw
by the Burlick
on Tumblr.
The Burlick dancing.
Burlick. And there was somebody there who I'm moderately attracted to, and I know he's attracted to me, and he was talking to me, and he just has really bad oral hygiene. And I'm just like, nope, can't do it, because it's important to me. Smell overall, in general, is a very strong, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I have so many things tied into smell, like emotionally, and it powers my physical well-being and whatnot.
So, Gary, moving right along.
So I thought that we would talk a little bit for ourselves about what our turn-ons and turn-offs are and see if there's similarities. And then it occurred to me earlier today, I was like, ask the Entourage. They're very active and have opinions. And lo and behold, Chris G just jumps right in and is kind of like, I got this. Like, suddenly we have a document and a spreadsheet and like all these like, honestly, I was scared because I clicked the link in the Telegram Entourage and I'm like, oh, let me, holy shit. I was like, we got like, I mean, the only thing that isn't in here is like a graph, which we sort of have, but.
Well, actually there is.
Yeah. So I was just like, dang, boy. Like, so. And there's a lot of like content in here. I'm really actually very excited, but I'm very surprised. Like
are these images like actually taking data from the... Wow. We got word clouds for this.
We do. We have 2 word clouds, which is pretty awesome.
I gotta like show this on camera on the screen.
So basically what Chris threw together was he made a table like with like kind of like a spreadsheet, like columns and rows, and then everyone's putting in there like their turn-ons, their turn-offs. A question I'd asked that we'll get to is kind of when you discovered them and any other thoughts or notes. And so we've got like a dozen of these. And then the cooler thing is that he actually went and took apparently from the words that were put into that, was able to have word clouds created for turn-ons and turn-offs.
So if you're watching on YouTube, you can actually see this. These 2 word clouds. The one on the left is the turn-ons, while the ones on the right are turn-offs.
Yeah.
So just to kind of throw out some of the things, which I'm definitely going to agree. Some of the bigger ones for turn-ons are thick, play, daddy, sex, friendly, neck, eyes. I'm surprised that furry isn't larger.
Hey, I'm busy paying attention to that. Shorter chubby is like in there if you turn your head sideways and read it. So, you know.
Well, to be fair, there's tons, and I have a very long list of things that will be a turn on for me, and a very long list of things that will be a turn off. I thought this was more of an instant type of thing, like one little specific thing that is an instant turn on.
Like first glance.
Yes. When you first notice something about someone and go, ooh, I'm interested in knowing more or seeing more or so on and so forth. Like,
although I have to kind of agree with
example,
a lot of these. So.
For example, if I see somebody who has like a thick forearm, I'm immediately like, ooh, what's the rest of him look like?
So that
I don't just look at somebody who's a furry and automatically get turned on by it. I need more than just a fursuit.
Right.
Okay.
No, and I think that makes sense. I think a lot of these could fall into a couple categories about like physicality. Others have to do with like personality or how you live your life, to put it that way, which can fall into a couple things. So, yeah, no. So, huge shout out to Chris for like creating this document, because I just figured people would just make some random comments in the chat and Telegram, and that would be it. And I'm glad that he did this, because this would have overloaded the chat. Well, I mean, there's just so much stuff. I'm like, holy.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think about it often. I have to think about my head, and I go, what would be things that I would immediately draw my attention? Usually, it's mostly physical. It's usually like a decent sized belly, a nice beard, usually older. Yes, daddy kind of is the thing that kind of gets to me.
We know you fight
the other thing that, yeah. And the other thing that tends to attract me is really pretty eyes. So like the blues, the greens, the hazels, those kind of colors that are really bright and clear in an eye. It's weird, but like if I can look at an eye, if I see it, that kind of eye, it's an instant like, oh, really nice looking. I love the look of someone's eyes like that. And it seems, I don't know why, but that's something that.
For me, it's more the shape, I think, when it comes to eyes. Like, sometimes I like kind of the more like smaller, like Asian-ish type eyes. Like I mentioned before, the Hadrian doppelganger at who serves salads at work.
Yeah,
he can toss my salad anytime. He's got kind of more of those smaller eyes, which I suppose is kind of like Hadrian himself too. So
yeah,
so
like Hadrian's eyes were the first thing that like caught me on him. Was like he has this very unique color. It's kind of a bluish gray kind of color, and it was
I don't notice the color. I'm talking about the shape.
I noticed the color and I guess the shade and the shape sometimes too. But most of the time, if a bright eye will catch my attention. And then there's the physical things too. Turn offs for me are always. I think the one that has kind of come up more often than not is bad hygiene. And I kind of can see that in a sense. If you are foul smelling, if I can smell you from across the room or smell certain parts of you from across the room, it's a instant like boner killer kind of thing for me. You can be as hot as fuck and I just can't. Like if I can't be close enough to you because of the odor that you give off, I can't. Like you can like I said, you can look hot as hell, you can be a big ass other daddy, but if you stank, and I'm not having that. Like, and it's unfortunately and you know, it's one of the problems slash it's one of the issues with like the leather kink community in some ways, because there's people that like believe that this like not washing yourself and whatnot is really awesome, and for some I get that there are some people that are into it, but there's also people that there's a difference, there's a line for me. There's a natural like musk man scent that can be alluring and attractive and intoxicating in a sense, but there can also be there's a point where the level line that it goes past, and now it's just rank. Like there's a I don't know what, that's the only thing I can think of, is like it's just this like you can be like, oh, this is nice, and then no, I don't want to.
There's a difference between smelling sweaty and smelling dirty.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I think the part of this topic about turn-ons and turn-offs is that we're not here to yuck people's yum.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't about putting down what other people like, but we're speaking from a personal place of this is okay for me, this is not okay for me. And I kind of have to agree with Damon. Like, there's scent, and then there's just, for me, then there's like too much. And I get that some people are really into manly scents, you know, and so I know in situations that are set up ahead of time for scenes or for play that people will not bathe. Mm-hmm. They'll wear certain clothes that have not been washed or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, but that's not my thing. And I have to remind myself of that, because that happened, well, when we were at Claw, I think this last year, maybe the year before that as well. It's just certain people I would walk past and I would be kind of like, ooh, okay. Like, that's a thing. Like, for me, that's too ripe, not whatever. And that's fine. This is where I think it's a fine line when you impede on other people. So let's use Claw as an example. So yes, you're at the leather event and like you're into that, you know, and maybe you're planning on having this hot scene or whatever. That's okay. But this is where, for me, like a line kind of gets crossed. If I have to step into an elevator and I'm with you and you brush up against me and now your scent is on me, that's a problem. Which has happened for people I know, that like someone is that ripe or whatever that like it's transferred. That's now an issue because you're inflicting that on somebody else. So that's the only thing that I say about that is just be aware of like how you impact others. Like that's probably one of my biggest turnoffs is people who are not self-aware. So like I pay attention when people walk, when they move, when they talk, when they do different things. I may not catch like everything of what they're doing in that moment or what they're saying, but if a person is more like a bull in a china shop and just kind of like pushes through or doesn't have like a three-dimensional awareness of their impact in their immediate world, it drives me crazy. Like I'm like, no, I can't, because that to me is kind of on a strange track of consent and respect kind of thing, that you're just pushing yourself upon other people and how you behave. And I'm like, no, I can't have that. You know, like people who think it's okay to just walk up to somebody and start tweaking their nipples and they don't know them. Hello? Like, that to me is just kind of that
get to know them first, then tweak their nipples.
Right. I mean, like that kind of, there's a brusqueness kind of thing about certain personalities. And don't get me wrong, like Dom is hot, like someone being aggressive, but there's a certain kind of it. And unless you know who the other party is, if you don't know me, like that's probably not really going to work. And that's one of my key issues that I know about me, is that some people have really been surprised because they think like that I'm cute or I'm flirty or I'm fun or whatever. And out of nowhere, like suddenly I got a hand on my ass. And usually my complete composure changes. My smile goes away if there is one, and they're all like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. Like, you should have thought about that before you did it. But anyways. Go ahead,
I just want to go back to the hygiene portion, because I am in agreement that I can't deal with straight up body odor. And I know that the general consensus among Leathermen is no cologne, no deodorant, nothing that makes you smell pretty. They don't like that. And I get it because you kind of want that manly scent and the smell of leather. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, it just gets too much.
Yeah.
We have the three of us have mutual friends who don't wear deodorant. This is back when I was going to go visit them, and I know that they don't wear deodorant. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. So a couple days before I left to visit them, I stopped wearing deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 days into my trip of visiting them, I'm like, nope, can't do it anymore. I can't even stand the smell of myself by the end of the day.
Mm.
So
how you guys do this every single day and then still get in bed with your partner at the end of the night just goes right over my head.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, it's been something I try to do every once in a while. If I'm going to an event or like a leather event, usually I won't wear deodorant, but that's because I kind of, in some ways, I fly magenta on both sides. So there's one thing. Prince, whatever. So the reason I don't also is because I like most leather people or other kinky people, they want that smell of leather. They prefer that smell over probably anything else. But I agree with you, Chester, 100%. Like after a certain point, I'm going to need to put on something. Like for me, it's more of a, I'm trying to be, for myself, respectful of other people. Like I go to work every day and I work in a professional environment and I work in an office building where, but now there's not as many, but there were like a whole bunch of people that are around me. And it was for me being respectful of those people that more so than for my own personal thing. Now you can do things to eliminate odor without necessarily wearing deodorant, antiperspirant, or whatever. So I highly recommend those people that do not wear deodorant for those reasons to learn of the other aspects and possibilities of things you can do, because it's not just about like what Gary was saying. Sometimes you get to a point where you're now invading other people's space, and you're putting, no offense, you're putting your kink on someone else, and that's again you're violating consent. So.
Yeah, and I think that's difficult for some people to gauge. They may not necessarily know. And that's also difficult because you don't know who has said to them or talked to them or anything, if they're even aware. I mean, in the workplace, with my previous employer, that was one of the conversations that supervisors commiserated about, that they had to have the hygiene talk, like with employees, and actually discuss with them
I had
about
to do that once.
Yeah, like you have to talk to them about, that like it is not a requirement of work per se that, that they have to bathe daily or whatever the case is. But, it's a work environment and you're around other people. And so we all need to get along. And sometimes it is an awkward conversation and you kind of talk to them about certain stuff and find out if they have a lack of supplies or opportunities and different stuff, and you figure that out. And then so when it comes to intimacy with another person, that's a whole other realm, because you don't know, especially if you don't know them that well, whether or not anyone has ever said like, and this is just, I'm being dramatic here, but has anyone ever said to me like, your breath stank? Like, or when you shower, could you just take the washcloth and kind of run it like under your taint on it a little bit, or something. It's like, I've known guys that have like a way of handling that without really saying anything is like, let's take a shower together, because that's sexy and fun, which I'm a water sign. So yeah, I like water. So that can be fun. But if I'm with a guy and he's like really lathering the fuck out of me, I'm going to be self-conscious. I'm going to be like, okay, now listen, there's shower and then there's like Silkwood. And this is just going a little too far one direction from my taste. But
one of the things I know we're kind of still talking about the if we want to still going on, but one of the other things that's kind of thrown out there, I'm noticing things in regards to hair, like long hair, as one of the turn-offs for people. This was it was a pet peeve for mine for a while, and I will give what happened. And because long hair for me has always been a weird thing, because it's always, I get why you have long hair, but for me, it's more of it gets in the way. Like, I'm like, if you have long hair and like,
how do the straight guys and the long hair and the lady do it?
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean. But like the other thing is, if you can, okay, I'm usually okay with long hair if you can tie it back. Like if it is long enough for you to like take it and put it back in some way so that it's not necessarily falling on me. Because I used to wear wigs for stuff, and hairs getting in my face was always like, I usually just and try to get them out of my face. So if you have hair and you're doing it, that's what I do. And it's not sexy and it's not fun. And it just always is a thing. So if you have hair that's long enough for me to tie it back, then we're good. Like, I'm fine with you having your hair long enough for that. I've had guys that have had hair that was not quite long enough. And then it becomes an issue with, in the middle of things, them having to hold their hair back or do things like that. And it wrecks the mood for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, would be a difficult conversation. I mean, I don't know many guys that they let their pubic hair get that big that they can tie it back. But I mean,
well, if you continue to scroll to my turnoffs, you will see long pubic hair listed.
I never thought about long pubic hair. Oh my god.
So, for me, when it comes to hair length, I don't care what their hair length is. All I really care about is, do they manage it well? If they're the type of person that just grows it out and doesn't do anything with it, then I look at it as being sloppy, and that's not a turn on for me. It's it's a turn off because you're sloppy.
Yeah. I will say this:
long hair and they do something with it, I'm all for it. I don't care what their length is.
I think this goes across the board for me. If you take some time and you show some awareness of yourself to take care of things, you don't have to braid it. You don't have to do a lot of stuff to it. You just have to have an awareness of it. Don't get me wrong. A man can have a natural look, but there's a point where you're not going to look like Grizzly Adams. You're going to look kind of more like Caveman. And I'm not necessarily thinking like the latter is really something I'm going to get turned on by. But that's me personally. So there's a balance, I think, to that. Like, you want to grow your hair out? That's fine. Like, I personally don't have an issue if a guy wants to grow his hair out. But I understand what you're saying, Damon. Like, when it comes to the freakadeek, if he's got long hair and it's like Fabio and it's flying all over the place, it's probably going to annoy me because I'll be like, all right, now listen.
Now, here's the thing is, Fabio knows how to deal with his hair.
Well, yes, Fabio knows hairography. So he probably fully understands how to, like, whip his hair back and forth to get it out of the way when he's going to go down on your dick or eat your ass. But that is not always the case. And long hair catches on other things. So if you have facial hair and long hair, then you can fully expect it to, like, catch around the mouth and in the beard or whatever. And, you know, if you think pulling pubic hair out is a problem, like, long hair on your head can, you know, also be troublesome.
Yeah. And
I just don't like the way long hair looks. Like, it's an immediate turn off, even like across the room. First time seeing somebody, I may look at them and be like, oh, hey, they're kind of cute, but there's not going to be like this attraction to me of it. It's kind of like I would never have sex or even date him, just because there's just something about long hair which bugs the shit out of me. Someone with a nice, you know, like my style or just short haircut is a turn on for me.
Yeah, and there are certain styles that some cook might consider long that I'm okay with. Again, like Gary said, it's about the managing of it, or Chester said, it's about the managing of it. If you can manage your hair and it looks good and it's long or whatever, I'm usually okay with it. I
don't care if you manage it. I don't want it. Cut that hair. You would look so much better if you buzzed your head.
And for some that's okay. I think if it's not if for me it's not as major a issue as, like Gary was saying, unkempt or untamed. Like a scraggly beard is really nice in some situations, but when it's like everywhere and nothing.
Oh, now we're talking about
done.
Beards.
Yeah, I'm going there because
we're going from head to beard. Okay, I didn't see the transition there. Yeah.
It was the very nice and subtle way.
Well, but like I'll say this: there's a time and a place for certain things, and I think it's just a personal flavor. Like long hair doesn't work for you, Jeff. That's fine. For me, I think if you, for lack of a better reference, if you have it coiffed, like if you do something with it, that's fine. I know for me, if you have long hair and it's flat and thin and doesn't have any volume or body to it, I really probably will not be interested or care that much about it.
Yeah.
But if you have more like Yanni hair, for those of you that know who the Greek, artist is, and it's this big, thick, luxurious kind of like wavy hair, bitch, I'll be more than happy to grab onto that and wrap my hands in it like a pair of horse reins and face fuck you. Like I could do that. That's not a problem. Yeah. So I think it's just a matter of like the moment and the person and how they carry themselves and if it looks good on them or not. Like I grew up through the 80s and the 90s when hair metal was a thing. And yes, in my history, I had long hair down to halfway down my back. There's photographic proof of it. If you see me in person,
too.
I could show you what it is. Like I am proud to say I never had a mullet. Thank gosh. But
it was 70s.
It was kind of a thing. But I unfortunately got saddled with my mother's hair, which is just kind of like flat brown. It's not very, does a whole lot. It has a little bit of wave to it and stuff at times. But so yeah. But then now this is what cracks me up because I've been talking about it is that it's mostly amongst gay men or metrosexuals. I think is this kind of thing, which my hair is not one to talk about right now because it needs cut. But this middle section that gets grown longer and it's shaved or faded on the sides. It's like if you want to put your hand in there and just kind of like wrap your fingers around the hair and stuff, and I could see how that works.
Yeah, see, and that I would be okay with. That's something that is manageable, but it's something where if it's not, I guess the way not manageable. Like I know James in the chat mentioned that man buns are a turnoff for him, and I agree and disagree. I think again, it's a matter of what the hell they've done with it. Like if it's like we've seen like the pictures of the dogs with they put like a bagel or something or whatever or head and then they call it man buns. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but it's like a really funny picture and it's they compare it to actual pictures of guys with buns. If it's just there, like here's a thing and there's your bun. No, not so much. But again, if it is well maintained or detailed or something along those lines to where it's you're some thought behind it as opposed to I really need to keep the hair out of my face. Yeah.
Right. Like I will say this, if anyone has seen The Last Jedi from Star Wars and a man is running around sporting the Rey 3-bun thing like down the middle, no. That's a no for me. That's because immediately I'm gonna think of her. And then I'm going to be thinking of like costume and cosplay and Halloween and see, I'm out of it. Like, no, just out.
I think we've covered hair, but I just want to say really quick that Killmonger in Black Panther has the best fucking hair I've ever seen.
That was awesome.
I love it.
Love that.
I wish I could do something like that with my hair.
Okay, so now I got to go look that up in Google.
But it's after he goes over to Wakanda. It's
kind of like dreadlocks, but they're
they're really really tight dreadlocks. And he has most of his head shaved except for this part right here, and his dreadlocks are very short.
Yeah.
And they kind of just go wherever, and God, it's so sexy.
Yeah. It was it was very nice. Well, the guy playing Eric was sexy to begin with, and it just
Michael
kind of added to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not a fan.
Before we move on from hair, let's talk about the crotchal area.
So we're going from the top to the bottom.
I have a very strong aversion to anyone who does not trim their pubic hair. And I have a very, very valid reason for that, and that is my tongue is pierced. And if you're not trimming your hair, and I'm going down on you, and that shit gets caught in my tongue ring, I'm going to be pissed.
And you'll probably be pulling some hairs out, too.
Probably pulling some hairs out.
Like, so it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually don't at all. However, I don't grow a lot of hair, so especially down there. So, and my hair is curled and tight, so it's usually not a problem per se. Having said that, I am 100% in agreement with Chester to a point. There comes a time when there's just, and as a bear, I feel bad saying this. There comes a point in time where there's just too much hair.
There's manscaping. You're not necessarily getting rid of all of it.
No, well, for me, and this is my personal preference, I shave my balls bare, and I will usually trim around the insides of my legs, and usually up the sides in the top of my fat pad. I will trim it down with like a 1 guard, and then the rest I'll go over it with like a 3 guard, because I don't want to look completely bare. I have shaved myself completely bald before, and I really hate how it looks. I really hate how it looks on other people. And just as much as I hate when people don't do any kind of trimming, I hate when people shave it completely, because my lips hit it, and then I get razor burn.
Chapstick is your friend. Yes.
I will say the razor burn is a big issue for me. Like, if you want to, if you want to shave, that's fine. You can shave your nuts, you can shave your sack, you can shave your scrotum, you can even shave your taint for all I care. Like, but there's a thing where it's like, if you're gonna do that, then you kind of need to keep up on it, which is the more pain in the ass part, I think. If you are doing that from experience, in my lifetime, it's like, now you gotta fuck around with it. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is, like, if I'm going to go down on you and I'm going to give you head, like, that's all fine and dandy. And if it's like without hair and it's smoother, like less friction, whatever, got it. But like when I come back up, like this is a bit of a turnoff for me, is like, I love making out, but there's a point where making out gets a little too crazy. And then, like, when I feel like my whole, like, lips and the upper lip and the lower lip area is like, I'm going to turn into Angelina Jolie in about an hour, because, it's just too much brush burn or, whisker burn or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's not sexy anymore.
Yeah. I've had that experience at the top with the guy that liked shaving all of his facial hair off, but wouldn't keep it up. So I was getting beard burn on my dick. So
wow.
Yeah, that's it can get painful, and because you're going up and down on it and it's rubbing against you, and it was not a pleasant feeling. And it was one point where I actually kind of had to tell him, like, I'm gonna have to stop you, because this is now becoming too much for me. We're gonna need to take a minute. Because anyway, moving right along.
I mean, there's a point where, you can be forceful and it can be fun, but you have to recognize, like, what the consequence of the action is. So it's like, you want to hold my head down, you want to grind my head in there, and all that. Like, that's okay. But then, if I ended up looking like I'm breaking out all over the place because we were having, a fun time, that's not so cute. Not anymore. At least in my opinion, for me. But yeah, like I could understand, Chester, where you're coming from. Like I never really thought about that before. Like I don't know if it's been on the podcast or in a conversation, so I'm not going to try to speak out of turn. Piercings have effects when you're doing stuff. And so for me, like personally, I like PAs. I got no problem with PAs. I think PAs are sexy. I think they're fun, but not everybody necessarily feels that way. And as it has been pointed out to me, people who have tongue piercings are not necessarily fans of PAs because there's a potential, locking up issue. Just like I never had this as an issue, but lots of people I know who had braces or have braces are a bit hesitant to kiss other people who have braces because,
right,
you
lock up. Like somehow, just like it's that magic ring trap trick, where like you have two separate rings and you can clang them together and now they're connected somehow. It happens.
I don't have braces, but I don't want to kiss anybody with braces.
I don't.
Okay, I just want to throw it out there that if they have braces, it shouldn't really matter unless you're a bad kisser. Why are you going to be licking their teeth?
You never know.
It's still going to hit. Like, I'm still going to feel it in a way. It's not necessarily going to be directly on the tongue.
Not if you're kissing right.
I don't know. No. It's just a turn off. I'm sorry. You may be completely adorable, but we're not kissing. At least not that deeply.
Anyway, so what about some other do we want to go with turn-ons or keep going with turn-offs? We've talked about turn-offs quite a bit.
Let's end on a high note. Let's keep going with the turn-offs.
Yeah. So I'm seeing some other stuff. Pain for some people is a turn-off.
Let's go to the doc. So let me pull up the doc so that everybody can see here.
Oh.
So we've got we already kind of talked about breath.
Right, Jeff. Hold on though. I don't know if the people that put their names on the doc want that made public though.
I'm just showing the word cloud.
Oh, okay. I'm paying attention to the table above where people's names, and I'm like, I don't know if you want to put that in there, but
so look at the word cloud. We already kind of talked about breath, but a couple of the other highlights are blood, bad, arrogance. So we're talking about more personality there. Poor is on there, but I think that's like also like poor something else. Not necessarily they have absolutely no money.
Yeah.
No, I think it's because of the way the word cloud is created. It's picked up the word poor because somebody put in poor something else. Like me, I put in poor hygiene.
Poor hygiene, poor housekeeping, poor self-maintenance.
Yeah, nobody wants me because have you guys seen my apartment? It's a complete disaster. So I'm a total turn off. I turn off myself in some sense. Probably one of the reasons why I rarely invite anybody over is because I'm embarrassed of my apartment and I'm too lazy to do anything about it. Anyways, there's also like scat, pain, a couple of the smaller ones like pussy. So we're talking about kind of like
I think
what people talk about.
Well, I think this is when people use words during sex or trying to, have foreplay or whatever. There's a certain subset of men that I know, and it keeps getting shown in porn, so that may be part of the issue, where they use euphemisms like other words for their anus. And they, they put that stuff out there, and then, for some reason people adopt it and they take it on and they think that it's okay. And I think it's pretty 50-50. I'm not going to say the majority is not okay with it. I'm going to be more like, well, maybe some people are okay with calling it a boy pussy or whatever. But
it's funny that you're mentioning this because this is one of my biggest turnoffs is that those types of buzzwords that people are using. If you're chatting with me on Growler, you could be the sexiest man I've ever seen. And if you say something like, do you want to come over to me? Do you want to give me that seed? Or refer to your ass as a boy pussy. Say the word tits. I've had somebody look at one of my pictures where I was shirtless, and they were like, hey, nice tits. And I'm like, you're blocked. The other one, and this is discretionary? No, that's not the right word.
Discrimination?
No.
Derogatory?
The word faggot. No. The word faggot. I know it's... to me, I don't like the word, but it's one of those things that if you're in a scene and somebody likes degradation and you use it in a degrading way because they enjoy it, then it's okay. For those people that are involved. Outside of that, no, it's not okay.
Right.
So when I hear somebody say faggot, nope, I don't care if it's okay between you two, but if I hear it, no, I'm not okay with it at all.
And words, part of the thing about words is like, what's the intent and the delivery? So, like, as an analogy, I think if Chester and I were playing around and he's sucking me and I'm like, yeah, you want to suck my dick, faggot? I bet you really like that. I think that context is very different than if I'm being more dominant and a combative and abusive. Do you know what I mean? With a much different tone, where it's much more about humiliation and like triggering about an unsafe situation. And that's the difficulty of words, because you have to figure out where and when that stuff's okay. And I think that's the problem, is why people get turned off, because they're not that turned on by the person, or it's just not the right time or the right place, the right circumstance. You know, like I enjoy watching movies online where, you know, it's anonymous, it's strangers, it's Craigslist, it's, you know, whatever. And in some of those videos, this language comes out. And sometimes I kind of like, you know, I don't necessarily get stank face, but I'm like, oh, this is really taking me out of this. Like I'm not that much into it, because now there's this whole dom sub thing going on that I know is not agreed to ahead of time, most likely. Like, someone is deciding that because, you know, they're getting their dick sucked, or they're, you know, someone's giving their ass up, like, that it's suddenly okay to like talk to them this way. And I'm like, no, like, dude, you are but just like a 7-minute trick that came over, like, just to get your dick wet. Like, this is not about, you know, a scene in a situation where they want to be humiliated and treated a certain way.
Yeah.
And
totally.
So I think that that's a challenge in and of itself, to know the when and the where. I hate saying awareness, but I think it's what it comes back to. It's like, do you know the other person? Do you know yourself? And can you field that and figure it out?
Yeah. There are certain, like, okay, I'm going to put it like this. I've always had issues with using feminine words in a humiliation, derogatory kind of way. I've always had a problem with that. I do not fuck your man pussy. I will never fuck your man pussy. If you want to call it that, we're done. Like, that is an immediate, almost instant turn off for me. Male, you know, calling men the top of men tits is another one. Like, I agree with you, Chester. Like, that is one of my biggest, like, nope, we're not going to have a conversation anymore, because you don't even know me, or you're having a quick conversation with me, and you're now kind of putting some things on me that I don't want you to be putting on me. And I've had that issue happen before. I've always had larger chest area, and it's a very sensitive topic for me. It's a very sensitive topic for me. So when you go that route, I have to like turn off. It'll be a turn off because I will get to a point where I can't even deal with it. I can't even deal with you, and I can't deal with it. So yeah, those are kind of instant turn-offs for me. And especially if it's like in a chat or a like texting kind of thing, because to me it's like you've now taken a time to type that out. Like I'm like, no, it doesn't work for me. It has never worked for me. And by you doing that, it just seems like you're degrading not just yourself, but you're also degrading women. And I kind of have a big issue with that too. So, yeah.
And see, I know that there's probably somebody out there who's listening to us and saying, you know, we don't like these words being referred to because they're feminine in connotation, and you must not like women then. It isn't even that. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's just I hear that if somebody refers to a man's, you know, when they're referring to a man as a bottom and they say pussy or cunt or whatever word they want to use for it, it just something in my mind that just can't stand that. Because you're not having sex with a vagina, you're having sex with an ass. You don't go up to a woman and want to do anal sex with her and say, "I'm gonna fuck that man pussy." Do you see how that's like really fucks with your head?
That girl thing, like it doesn't
right?
You're gonna fuck her ass.
Well, and I
you say the same about a guy.
No, but all right. So this is what I think the root of this issue comes from, is that if a man is going to insert his penis into an anus, the problem is that has a connotation, unfortunately, especially in our society, as dirty, because obviously, like, you know, the anus is used for evacuation, and if you don't clean in preparation, and I'm not talking about like a full extensive colonoscopic, you know, roto-rooter, just a little something, you know, a little wipe around the edge, a little, like, you know, little enema maybe, you know, shower shot, something.
It's called colonic irrigation, darling. It's not to be sniffed at.
Oh my God.
So the thing is, though, is that I think that dirty factor, quote unquote, is an issue for some people. And so they don't want to call it a butt or an ass or, you know, whatever. So they overlay it with new terminology to make it less icky or less dirty or whatever. And because men don't have a vagina, they like turn it into mangina or boy pussy or whatever it is they want to talk about. But you have a point. Right. But then they like, you have a point though, Chester. You're like, okay, but let's think about the physical, you know, anatomy issue. You know, why, like, it doesn't work that way when you talk to a woman. Like, you don't refer to her, you know, butthole as like her manhole or, you know, whatever. You know, you don't call it a girl pussy and a boy pussy on a woman. Like, that's just no.
Because strangely enough, you could fuck a woman in her ass.
And actually, it happens quite a bit, apparently, among certain populations of teens and younger, because then that's not losing their virginity.
It's a loophole.
No, it's just a hole. It's not a loophole. It's just a hole.
No. It's okay. I'm gonna have to
find the video.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Gonna make me find it. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, there's certain things I think about that are not necessarily good. I'm looking through the list of, like, on our table about different things. Smells. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but like for some people, flatulent is kind of an area that they're not necessarily good with. I can understand that, but you have to understand, like, the composition of gas that comes out your ass is about your diet and like what you're putting in. So that's why some people, like, if they know they're going to bottom, they might back away from certain foods or whatever, because, you know, just
they're going to be eating towards bottom-friendly foods.
Yeah, I mean, like, because you just don't want to have some nasty smelling gas. I get that, but to me that it goes the other way too. Like burps, and that kind of stuff. Sometimes it can be pretty rank. So I don't know.
Outside of quick question for the panel. Let's say there's no smell, but if you're going at it and one of you is whoever's taking it farts while you're going at it, are you like me and like be a 12-year-old and laugh, or do you just kind of keep going? Like there's no smell, so take no smell out of this.
Giggle about it.
I think it's so circumstantial. It depends on both parties that are involved and what's happening. If you are going for the Olympic gold, okay, and it happens, and that throws off the rhythm in the game, as the bottom, I'm probably going to be slightly embarrassed and now annoyed. Like, don't stop when things are good just so you can have a giggle fit. Unless everyone's going to be able to pick right back up at wherever you were and keep on going. I don't know.
So in other words, we all understand it's just a function of the body. At least it doesn't smell. It can be funny and break the mood, but it's not necessarily a turn off. It's just a bad thing to happen at the moment.
It depends on the person, honestly, Jeff. I will quote William Brown on this. Here's the thing. Fat boys, when you like bend them and put them in certain positions, are kind of like Tupperware. They will burp. Air has to escape
somewhere.
That's what it comes down to. So a top, what are you doing? You're pulling your dick out and you're putting your dick in. Do you know what else you're doing? You're shoving air inside. Or if worse yet, you rim and you decide for some reason they're like a fucking Macy's Day balloon and you decide you're going to blow air up in there. It has to come out. Like, don't be stupid about this.
Oh God. Oh, David. Oh my God. Anyway, thanks for that, like, William Brown reference, because I remember that shit.
I will say a lot of the times when it ends up happening, either we just continue on and ignore it, or there's like a short giggle and we continue on. So
I will say
I'm pretty good at catching back up.
You have to pay attention. You have to be using all your senses. If there's a fart during sex and you're having some, anal insertion, whether it be a penis or a toy or, a finger or whatever, you have to pay attention. I'm going to say this. If it sounds a little off,
like wet,
you might want to like just pause, do a check, and not presume that everything is just A-okay, because that's where people they kind of make mistakes and then they get turned off and things go sour and all that. Like, you can do a lot of preparation, but then there's some points where like sometimes it's just no matter what, not necessarily good. And God bless the bottoms out there that take the time to prepare, even those that I know that I love dearly that seem apparently rumor mill takes 3 hours to get ready, which I think is excessive. Like,
30 minutes tops. I don't know.
I will say this much, like, depending on the situation, and again, if you're saying it doesn't smell, I usually just let it pass. Yeah, I know, but like, that's what I mean. Like, it happens, and I keep going. Like, because like Gary said, or Waiter said, it's usually gonna happen in some capacity or some way. You're gonna get some kind of sound.
It's great when you can get a rhythm in there.
No,
really?
No. We're talking like one time, one off. Like if we're getting like constant like bubbles and whatnot, and it's coming in, then we're not. This is not okay.
Oh my God! Listen, the anus, the colon is not an accordion. It is not an instrument that you are trying to play. Okay. For the record,
no. But on this, but if there is an odor, and I can get people can be embarrassed by it, and that I'm usually okay with it as the top, except for when it gets to be too much. Again, there's a threshold that
Right.
everyone can sort of take. There's going to be a threshold in regards to that I'm going to go. If we get to that threshold and we go past it, I'm going to have to stop. I have had that happen. I was with the guy and we were going at it, and it wasn't like once or twice. We were approaching 3 or 4 times, and it was starting to smell. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And I'm now like fighting my like nausea. Right. Because it has gotten to that point where now it's not pleasant. It's no longer pleasant.
Right.
And it is not that there was anything there. It was just the odor coming out.
Right.
There was nothing else there.
Sulfur and methane are bitches when they get together. They can literally take your breath away. Yeah. So I can understand, David, where you're kind of like, can't breathe. Like, or whatever. Like, yeah, like they're just, it's not always going to be the best. You do what you can with it. In that time, Chuck is cracking me up. He's like, we have a new name for the ass, the accordion brown eye. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay. That being said, could we move on to the turn-ons, like the things that excited?
The only turn-off I want to kind of get into is the ones that we thought about with regards to like personality, because that's kind of the other one that's kind of out there. That's there's bitches like attitude and bad personality and how people present themselves and stuff like that. Like I've seen that being mentioned and conceited, and there is a role that your personality and the way you present yourself plays into someone being turned off by you. I've often had the experience of the guy. I don't like overly aggressive. Like there's an aggression that I'm okay with, but when it gets to the point where it's almost I'm being forced to do or say certain things, that's when I have a problem. And that is sometimes a personality quirk or trait that someone has that can be, like I said, a big turnoff for me. Unhealthy, like conceited, like prideness is also another thing, where essentially your shit doesn't stink and it comes off that way, like in your personality, like you're God's gift to men, and you have that conceitedness about you, then I'm immediately turned off by you. You can be really fucking gorgeous, and you can be everything that hits all my buttons for a bear or a Leatherman or whatever, but the minute that personality is now matching the arrogance and prideness that you kind of are giving off, I'm no longer going to be interested, because I'm immediately going to go, you're probably not going to be interested in me, because I don't think I'm not 100% God's gift to men. So like, we're not going to match, because you're never going to come down here and meet me at my level.
I will say this, that I can find dominance sexy as a personality trait, but the way it comes as sexy is because you put me first. If you respect me for the person that I am and how you treat me, while also being dominant or aggressive or passionate, like whatever category you want to kind of put those in, you will get way further with that than you will with, like, I will control you. That's for me personally. But I feel that way about everybody. Like, it's taken me a lot to be in certain situations and to see dynamics and to recognize they are not me. They are obviously okay with this. They choose to be in this situation. Like, that's kind of one of my pet peeves about, like, seeing people and doing other things, because I have to recognize, like, they're not me. So maybe they're completely okay with this. I am not, but they might be okay with that behavior, whatever that's being exhibited towards them. In that case,
I want to mention one last thing on attitudes. I don't really care for guys who are sex driven.
Hmm.
I don't know how else to say this, but if you are in a space, say a gaming party, and your only mission is to suck as many dicks as you can
At that party,
then I'm probably not going to be attracted to you anymore.
okay.
And it has nothing to do with somebody being sex positive or if they're owning up their sluttiness. Because, I mean, look at me. It's not that. It's when you walk up to somebody and be like, hey, you want me to suck on your cock right now in front of a room full of people? There just needs to be a time and place, and that's not the time or the place. This isn't a bathhouse.
So, Chester, what you're saying is like you either need a ruler or a fan that's collapsed, so you could just bap him and be like, no,
No.
no,
No.
that's
Down
a no.
the way. Sorry.
I agree with you, honestly, Chester, because there's a okay, like even at a bar, a gay bar, at that where it's not a norm, like a cruisy bar, I could kind of see it happening, but you know, like a drag show bar. I'll use that as an example. It would be really weird for someone to come up to me and be like, "I want to suck your dick right now." Like, no. Like, I mean, I appreciate the offer, but we can't do this right now. Like, I'm not going into the bathroom and getting caught and having to, and getting pulled out of the, bathroom and by security and being let out the door and never be able to go back in this bar again. No. But on,
you get where you're going, but that's not quite what I'm.
But similar.
I'm talking about somebody who.
I get what you're talking about is that someone is doing it in an inappropriate place. Or
no.
So no.
It's more of the volume of doing it. Anyway, let's move on.
Chester side. So after that segue from or that continuation of the old thing and trying to move on to turn-ons, now we're going to turn-ons. After what we've been talking about this for about 40 minutes.
Anyway,
the turn-ons category, the stuff that's in it, I'm really surprised by some stuff. Like some things I'm not necessarily. There are some physical traits like furry chest, thick cock, beard, certain body hair, big soft bodies, stature in terms of height. So yeah, I think some of that's pretty cool.
See, I have a problem with turn-ons because there's it's for me it's more of an equation where it's like thin in and of itself isn't necessarily a turn off, but it's not necessarily turn on unless you end up coupling it with something else. Like it may be thin, bearded, more like muscular thin, slender, and like there's this pocket cub that works on my floor at work who I'm just like, I just want to toss him on bed and fuck his brains out. But for other people, if you subtract a couple of those things, it ends up turning me off. Does this make any sense? It's just I like chubby guys, but I don't like all chubby guys. There has to be some other factors that will get that chubbiness to work for me.
You chubby? Nothing.
Well, yeah, no, cute Chester. Right. What I would say is like, I mean, to me, what you're saying is equivalent to the whole like. This is an experience I had in my personal life when a straight man was offended that I wasn't attracted to him, and I was like, that's not how it works. Just because you a man, just because you have a penis, does not mean I'm automatically attracted to you. Like, so, like, to say that like you like bigger guys doesn't mean you like all big guys. So yeah, I think that's true of all this stuff, like in turn-ons and turn-offs. Like it's not a 100% of anything. There's very much like, you know, realms or, you know, wiggle room on that kind of stuff. So
like, because I always think of the, like, whenever I'm trying to think of like turn-offs for myself, it's more of things that just like, if that's there, that one thing is there, ruins the whole thing.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I think
thin guys aren't a turn-off. I don't consider them a turn-off. It's just that there's some guys I'm just not attracted to. So I'm not turned off by them. I'm just not attracted, if that makes any sense. But it's kind of like breaking it. Well, turn-ons are more of the things that really attract me to somebody.
Right. So that being said, I find like that some people listed some interesting kind of particular items, like tattoos and ink. Not necessarily a big surprise to me. Cigars, into bondage, sensation play. There's some physicality stuff. You know, I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. But then there's some other things I'm kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like rosy cheeks as a complexion. What was some other
Glasses.
stuff? Glasses, being kissed on a specific
White
body
beard,
area.
red hat, red coat with the muffs. Says ho ho ho.
Ha 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 ha.
Pretty specific. You know, yeah, so I was kind of like, oh, someone who calls me on my shit. I thought that was an interesting turn on.
Sorry, I had to laugh at Gray's. The very first one on Gray's. Guys who outweigh me. You're like 110 pounds.
No, he's not. He's probably like
okay,
110,
111.
No, I think he's like $160.
Okay, but still.
It's like, it's not that hard.
Right, but I mean, that could be true of anybody. You don't necessarily have to be a smaller person to be into guys that are bigger than you. In that case, yeah. So I mean, I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. There's some more physical stuff. There's been discussion in the live chat about uniforms. So like,
oh yeah,
Boy Scout uniforms, sports uniforms, work occupational type uniforms.
I like all those on my floor.
Suits are a thing for me. I will fully own that. Like a man in a good looking suit, with a shirt and tie. Yeah.
I was gonna say it has to have a shirt and tie though, right?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of needs to be. There's something about it. I mean, what it is, it's layering. So like, there's kind of a thing about the personality of someone who's wearing a suit, but then also there's like an aspect of that. Like, yeah, you can run around in a sport coat with a button-down shirt without a tie on, but that's not quite the same because now you're going a little more casual, and that's okay, but it's not for me like tripping the same triggers. But if you're dressed up, wingtips, you know, dress socks, like probably boxer shorts, a nice, you know, probably leather belt or suspenders, button-down shirt, tie, and the jacket, the whole bit. Even a hat, cane, like, yes. But there's something about that in terms of, for me, it's about like a businessman and kind of that whole like culture and, you know, affluence, and there's a dominance to it. It's fantasy. That's all that is.
I just thought of something.
Okay.
How do you feel about something like sock suspenders?
You mean like garter style? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like sock suspenders? I had an image of regular suspenders going all the way down to the socks. I was
like, something like that.
I was like, how the hell does that work? They could be kind of sexy. I could see myself. Anyways, I'm not going to put that out loud. So that could be fun. It could be hot.
Yeah.
Bruce used to wear them, and he thought that he always thought that they made him feel old. or that he would be viewed as old, or that I would be turned off by them. And I'm like, I don't care. They're a function. I understand why you have them because I wear dress socks. They roll down.
Mm-hmm.
But with what you're saying, when somebody is dressing in all of those different elements, I think if I see a man undress and they don't have something like that, like garters for their socks, it wouldn't be a turnoff. But if I saw it, it would just add more to it. And I'm not as... I guess I don't mean to say it's a turn on either. It's just helps instill the fantasy.
Right. No, and I can understand that. I mean, I think clothing can be a big turn on in a lot of ways. Like, tons of men get turned on by jock straps. And I wasn't necessarily one, especially for bigger guys in jock straps, but I think we finally got to market jock straps that fit big men better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I totally get it. Like, the ass is fully exposed and the front's kind of covered up, and you've got some elastic strapping that you can like grab onto and snap and all that jazz. So I think that, yeah, that's
and
definitely
I was thinking about
something
that.
hot.
I was jock straps and how a lot of bigger guys wear jock straps. And I'm all for it. If it makes you feel sexy and have more self-confidence, then absolutely. Wear clothes that make you feel that way. Don't ever let anybody tell you different. Me personally, it doesn't do a thing for me. I don't look at guys, and if they're in a jock strap, immediately get turned on even more because they're in a jock strap. It just doesn't work for me.
This guy does.
I think it depends on a couple of things. Like, I agree with you, Chester. Like, seeing a jock strap does not instantly turn me on. But if I see a well-fitting jock strap on a thick guy, and it's curving, like, and hugging his ass and his thighs and all that, like, just right, then yes. Like, so it's not a universal thing. Like, not every man in a suit turns me on. Just like not every man in a jock strap would, be something that trips my trigger. I mean, I think it's true of all of this stuff. Like, I'm looking at, like, some of it is kind of like there's some visual things that were listed, like about a military look or blue collar, or some people kind of like, like Bubba or country. I will say this. I think overalls can be sexy as hell, depending on the man. But again, it's not all overalls. It's, it depends on how they're being worn and who the person is.
Maybe not ones with little choo-choo trains on them and, bright blue, red, yellow colors. Because I know somebody who wears ones like that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I think that there's some stuff. What I like is some of the stuff that got listed in turn-ons that are non-visual. So things like, I thought this was interesting, edging, being a good kisser, how a person touches you.
Yeah.
Like a physical affection kind of thing. If they have certain levels of like adventurousness or modesty or shyness. If they're aggressive appropriately, can be a turn on.
There's someone I mean, he's cute to begin with, but I was at the campground, Roseland, a couple years ago, and he touched me like I can't remember, like he gave me this hug, and I don't know what it was about this hug, but I literally melted. Like, well, not literally, but like I took over everything else, and I just I would want to do whatever you want to do right now, kind of thing. And it was just in this moment of the way it felt and the energy that was given off was like it hit every single button and hit every single trigger, and I was
on cloud nine,
ready. Yeah, or whatever. Like, it felt fucking amazing, and it wasn't even that long, but it was just in that moment. Damn. So I get the whole like touching and kissing, especially kissing. The other one, that's another one for me. A big turn on is how well you kiss and what you do with your kiss. But to me, that's the thing, like that we've gotten past like the initial. This is now we're kind of getting into a moment and a mood and an intimacy that is where things are going to start happening if they're going to happen, and that's where I like that. Obviously, I like daddies, so that's another turn on for me. Usually, an older gentleman, beards, salt and pepper, are big turn ons for me. And it's not, as we've been mentioning, it's not everything or every person isn't a turn on for me. There comes a certain point where it becomes, to say, too old. I get to a point where it can be too old. And I know that sounds weird, but there is a point where I'm like, no, I'm no longer attracted to you, kind of thing.
I hear what you're saying, David. I found that and this is probably a standard experience, I'm going to guess, the older I get, that shifts with my age. So when I was in my 20s, I think about 40 was the limit. And then, like, I noticed as I've aged and moved up, like, now that I'm in my 40s, to play with someone who's in their 60s ain't a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't faze me, whatever. So I think that's more maybe about experience and relativeness, you know, when you think about it. I think there's more than just age. I think there's a lot of other factors like physicality and all that, you know, and performance and that. So that's kind of how I see that when it comes to those things. But yeah, and but in terms of the kind of the turn-ons, I was
we lost to Damon.
We did lose a David. Not sure what happened. There's some other things like personality traits I find interesting that people have written, like inexperience or shyness, geekery, having a nerdy kind of personality. I think this is interesting. Cute as a turn on. So
I don't understand what that means.
I'm like, okay, so I don't think they mean like, cute like a kitten. I think like just there's something about them that they find like that meets that qualification. So I don't know if it's really something we can define per se.
Something instead of like sexy attractive, more like adorable. Like when you just think somebody's so cute, but they're not necessarily like the gorgeous, beautiful sort of thing. Does that make any sense? Like good looking is different categories.
Right.
But they're all both very good. So
yeah, no, I would agree.
One thing that wasn't mentioned on either side, dicks in general.
Big turn on his penises.
What I mean by that is length, girth, cut or uncut. Those are all factors that people will look at somebody or look at a picture of someone or see them in a bathhouse, and that's all they can focus on because they look at it and say, wow, that is a beautiful cock. I am one of those people that if I see somebody that hits all my check marks and I'm like, wow, that is a beautiful cock, I don't really give a shit what the rest of them looks like.
Nice.
I'm more of a torso man. The penis is secondary. I'm not saying it's not a factor. It's just secondary.
I can see how a penis could be a turn on. A dick can be a turn on.
Oh yeah.
I've seen
there's some
plenty
beautiful
of dicks
penises.
that are like, ooh, wow, that I want to put in my mouth. Like somehow. Like I want to do that. Like I want.
I am definitely like that with girth and uncut. If I look at a penis and it's pretty girthy, I want to see more. If I look at a dick and it's uncut, I want to see more.
That's not what I was expecting. I thought you were going to say like it was an automatic drool factor.
It does. It starts. It is. What's the
Initiation salivating.
Dog.
Pavlov. Yeah.
Does start the salivary glands or whatever.
It does start them up. Yes.
Chuck says if you've seen one, you want to see them all.
All right.
Does that mean they're kind of like they're
never,
like Lay's potato chips? Once you pop, you can't stop.
It never used to be a thing for me. It was never a thing for me until I lived in England and had access to uncut cock all the time.
And then you got addicted.
I'm not a fan, but I'm not against uncut cocks. Just
well, it's not like I had it and been like, it's not like I had uncut and like that's all I ever want anymore.
Right,
it's
right,
not like that.
No,
it was never a factor either way for me before, and now I suddenly have a attraction to it.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I would prefer an uncut cut or a cut over an uncut myself. Just, I think it's more just because I've always grown up cut, so I'm just used to that, and that's what I'm familiar with. But what really turns me off is when you have excess foreskin.
That it tickles your uvula?
It doesn't even get there. I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Wow.
I mean, that's how grossed out I am from.
So you don't like loose meat bologna?
But
you don't care for roast beef from Arby's.
Wow! Wow! Off the rails.
But if someone's uncut, but they, it's like just covering or something, I'm good with that. That's fine. It's just when there's a lot more skin and it gets kind of gross for me. So.
I mean, hey,
okay, so Gary broke me earlier in the show, and now Damon is just dead to the world. I think he muted himself too. Yep, he did.
His camera's off. So anyways, yeah.
There was one thing. Oh, sorry. There was one thing that Drew had put down here, and that was guttural noises during sex. And it's funny because while I'm an auditory person, when I'm having sex and if somebody is loud or they're vocal, I'm all for it. But it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago when I started playing around with people who identified as puppies that I started hearing them making gurrs and roars and woofs in the middle of sex. And I have realized that that is a turn on for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. All right.
Which is getting very close to a segue into the next part.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to be really bad. Well, actually, I am. I'm just going to say
you're going to be really bad and continue the show.
Yeah, I am. My problem is I am always iffy about sounds during sex. Sometimes it's okay. Groans, moans, certain sounds like that, I'm okay with. It again, there's a line, there's a barrier, there's an amount where it becomes too much. And for me, unfortunately, it is talking. Because while certain words I can hear are okay and are usually like, but if you're face down or in a pillow, or if you're trying to talk to me while we're doing stuff, I have to pay, because again, we've already know Damon's not very multi-talented, multitasking. I have to listen when you're talking to me. And I don't always hear you the first time. So it breaks the mood for me when you're talking to me. And then I don't necessarily hear or understand what you're saying because maybe I'm caught up in the moment. And then I have to go, what? What did you say? What was that? Like, because it breaks me out of my space, my middle space. Like, almost instantly. If someone is saying something to me, like, I am fine with groans of approval and interest and words of please stop or don't or no or that hurts or whatever. It's the things where you're kind of having like having a monologue. I had a guy that monologued almost during sex.
Jay Leno?
No, God no.
Not specifically Jay Leno, but Jay Leno-ish.
But like just having like saying things about what's going
Eggs,
on.
Milk, bread.
Not that kind. No, not making a list, but like just like constantly talking.
Cheese whiz. Sorry.
Like a constant kind of conversation, kind of talk. That it breaks the mood for me because I now am paying attention to what you're saying and not necessarily what I'm doing or what you're doing. And that's what turned out. Like that's why I like. And why I'm usually
for all intents and purposes, the bottom doesn't have too much to do while you're fucking them. Besides, taking it, so keeping themselves busy.
Sleep with some lazy bottoms.
I mean, I've got grunts and groans and such, but I mean, anyways, that's beside the point. That's what I need. I need more active thoughts. Shade. There we go again. But hey, you know what? That's a lot about turn-ons and turn-offs. I think it's time to move on. So
yeah, let's move on to cool down.
But still referential. Okay, so I'm calling this Woof, and it's a video from Cubby Daddy Bear Daddy. And Daddy, I forget what his name is. I can't remember these guys' names. But anyways, he's in his puphood and being fucked by his cub. And he's giving up some moves. And that's a major turn on for me. So.
Oh, this is I think you're a triad.
Yeah, we've talked about these guys a lot before.
Julio.
There we go.
This is Julio. Yep.
And the radio silence is because all the hosts are watching the video.
I'm not.
I don't believe you.
Well, move right along.
But the noises are those type of noises are turn on for me. So there's an example. See, connected to the show. I did it. You proud of me?
Good for you.
Moving on.
You get a cookie.
Here's your ookie cookie.
Damon.
Okay, so for me, I'm doing it's Throwback Hadrian. So I was scrolling through Tumblr, and this showed up on my Tumblr feed, and I was like, holy shit. And it was from Hadrian. So Hadrian posted this. Yeah. And it is him at age 21.
Yeah.
It's much different Hadrian than we know now, but it's still sexy Hadrian.
Yep, very different Hadrian.
Yeah, when he was a wee cubby boy and much smaller. But yeah, it's undeniably Hadrian. You can tell looking at his face and
the smile, the eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a. It was one of those things.
Hadrian. It was a different time. It says, me, age 21, in Raleigh, North Carolina, at Bear Trap, auditioning for Top Bear. Now I'm curious what Top Bear was. If that was considering he's bottomless, I'm assuming it was a porn, but could be something else. Different audition. I don't know. But it's a very interesting picture. It caught my attention. It definitely did, because it's a young-ish Hadrian and it has all the Hadrian things that I love. He's got that not so innocent grin. The eyes are there. Yeah. You do you, Adrian. Go for it. All right.
Chester.
So mine, I titled "Fuck, He's Sexy."
Not he's fucking sexy. Or, another rearrangement of the words. Fuck, he's sexy.
I know.
It is a. If you know who it is, then I think I might know who it is. I'll have to confirm in Telegram. It's a ginger cub, and he's uncut, and he's got this cute little round belly and fuzzy chest and tummy.
And I also know where this not where this picture, but I know this picture. It's actually an edit, a very heavily edited picture, because I know the person who took this picture.
Like cropped, or what do you mean by edited?
It is cropped. Like there's a whole other person in this picture.
Right. You can tell that by the legs and the balls and everything over there, right there.
But that I know the picture. I've seen the whole picture. I have to. It may take a long while for me to find it, but again, carry on. He's a sexy guy. I know who. Anyway, move on. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's it.
Okay. My Tumblr pick, I titled it "J-Mo's Arrested." Now, to clarify, J-Mo did not get arrested by law enforcement. But if we do a callback to Bear Positivity, to our last episode, 457, and we talked about the Arrested Movement photography project that Anthony Patrick Manarini is doing. So I knew that J-Mo had participated in it. So this is from his Tumblr, and he posted, he said, Canadian photographer Anthony very graciously invited me to participate in his project called Arrested Movement, which is a photographic series promoting and celebrating body positive imaging for men. So he said he went a couple weekends ago to Los Angeles and met up in a studio in the Flower District near downtown. He goes on a little bit, but he also talks about how some other folks from Tumblr that he tags were there. But at the top of it is this great black and white photo of J-Mo in the midst of it. I don't know if that's going to be the photo that Anthony ends up using from it, but so I was like, yay! So I'm super excited. I'm looking forward to that. And he posted on Facebook about it, and people were like, is there going to be a book? Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. So it's still exciting people and probably turning them on and stuff. So,
yeah.
And Hadrian was listed as one of the names, so.
Yep. He and some other folks from the LA 619 San Diego area participated.
Just last week, I don't think we mentioned that he was participating, so. Well, West Cup was, but
yeah. Well, there was a whole, like I said, there was a whole pack of them that are friends that kind of hang out. So it wasn't fully confirmed as to who exactly did, but I guess J-Mo called him out and said he did.
That was my little thing. Anyways, moving on into the links. Damon.
Okay. So real quickly, just because we mentioned it on this show. This episode, The Loophole by Garfunkel and Oates. It is they're a singing group, and this is one of their videos and songs, and it's the loophole how good Christian boys and girls are getting past the staying, virgins till marriage.
I think I've seen this before.
You probably have.
Yeah, 2013, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has 10.5 million hits, as views on YouTube. I am not one of them until now. So when we're done recording, I'll have to watch it tonight because I'm not familiar with this at all. But I know of Garfunkel and Oates. I just don't know this video.
I wonder if we actually haven't mentioned this before. Because I know I've seen it before, and I'm wondering if it was through the show or if it was through something else.
It's possible.
I mean, repeat recommendations. It's fine. So,
and my pick for this week has to do with something that doesn't technically relate to the podcast directly, but out of the blue on Facebook, I got a message this past week from someone that I know, and they said, "Hey, this is going to seem like an odd question, but you seem pretty well knowledged, and I feel confident in asking you, so I'm wondering if you can help me with this." And basically, obviously I'm going to keep their identity secret, but the person was like, I, as a man, have not really had experiences with cock rings, like specifically using one or wearing one. And I recently got one, but like, I want to make sure like I understand functionality, like how it works and what to do with it. And so I was like, and all I kept thinking is the internet is for porn, like do a search, but it may not be that like obvious to some people. So I answered a little bit of what their question was, but then pointed them to this article, which is what my pick is. It's by Love Honey out of the UK. It's called How to Put On and Use a Cock Ring or a Penis Ring. So it's an article. It has a video embedded in it. And the video, I think, is kind of the more important part because it talks about the different types of cock rings. It's not very long. It's just a nice little educational snippet type thing. But I thought it was helpful. And so I wanted to pass that on. Like, I was flattered and humbled that somebody was like, you seem kind of smart about this stuff. I'm going to ask you. And I was like, oh, all right. Like, for a part of me was just like, don't you, like, they don't know this, but I thought, don't you want to go ask Hadrian? Like,
maybe you'd be able to do a demonstration video.
Well, no, I was thinking in terms of like how on his blog for quite a long time, Hadrian was doing these, you know, answering questions and, you know, doing graphs and photos and videos and like all this stuff to help educate folks. So for those of you that are not aware or not necessarily sure or haven't used one before, here's something to check out. And it's not very long. I think it provides some just good base information to work with.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, guess what? Wait a minute. Don't we have some new subscribers?
I think we do. So for those of you that are not necessarily aware, because you may have not heard recently, we joined Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com, that's Patreon, patreon.com, and for Cubs Out Loud, you will be able to subscribe. Now, what does subscribing do? It helps support the podcast, and we have a couple of different levels out there. And we want to, in our episodes, give recognition to people who have joined us in their support. So we now have every single level, all 4 of our sponsorship levels covered.
At least one in each.
Yes. So we now have 3 Cubsters, Aaron, Charles, and Little Snows 1. And then for Ubers, we have AJ and Michael. And in Buddies, we have Eric and John. And for Entourage, we have Chris.
Wait. Hold on. Back up.
What?
Uber only has 1.
What are you talking about? This was...
Remember, it's $5.
Yeah, well, that was based off of the emails that we got. So maybe things changed since I was putting this together. Maybe somebody changed their denomination level. I'll go back and investigate and figure it out. But so we wanted to give shout outs and thanks to everybody that's supporting us. We are very rapidly approaching and being able to get to the first goal of $50, which if you do that with us for Cubs Out Loud, then we're going to be doing a monthly Google Hangout Live, which is pretty much like the show, but in this case, one of the things that we would do is it's basically interaction with you as our audience. So we would be able to answer your questions, which I'm very curious about this. I think this could be a lot of fun to see where that goes. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And then also, if you're in Patreon, you can get exclusivity to some things, including you get like rewards based on what your reward level is. One of them is that you get a shout out. Ta-da! Hence, we're doing this. But then there's also other items, including unedited shows, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And,
so I just want to thank everybody.
And I'm actually scheduling them now, so you will get them a day before everybody else does. So I'm not posting. I'm not posting the show the same day for everybody. So patrons get their unedited show. Actually, it's going to be some slight editing, like inserting the whole like synopsis thing, and
okay.
But the pre-show post shows will not be on the audio podcast for those who do not subscribe to the Patreon only feed. You can find that patron only feed right on the right on our page on the right side of that. You see audio RSS link. You can use that link to subscribe through your favorite podcast player. There's even a link to show you how, if you need to, if you're not quite sure how to do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, guess what, folks? That's the end. Oh. Playing ways, contact us. Pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. Shoot us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, sexy or otherwise, at 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. So this doc we were talking about, you can see this doc, and whenever we have more stuff like this, as well as chat with other people of the entourage, free of charge, no Patreon needed, at tinyurl.com/telegram-COL. That's our Telegram chat. Again, join us on Patreon at Cubs Out Loud, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, YouTube. All that comes out loud in the appropriate places, the URL. Join us over on the Bear Underground, the official Bear website of Cubs Out Loud. You can rate us on iTunes. Subscribe to us on Google Play Podcasts. Give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Boxhead, Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other.
I am Theater Cup 79 on Bear Underground, Tumblr, Growler, etc., etc. Or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter.
You can find me on Tumblr or Twitter under the name of the Pup Up There, getting cock-blocked at gaming parties or various bear dating sites across the net under Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
Damn.
You can pretty much find me anywhere on the internet as GareBear73, and hopefully you're not ever going to hear me utter things like Triscuits, Cheese Whiz, milk, bread, or other things like that.
Oreos. Not the peep kind.
Or if your goes are pizza, 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 pizza.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Oh my god.
That reminds me, when we're not on air, I'm going to talk to you guys about something about pizza, and it's tangential to Dozer. Anyways.
And with that, say good night, everybody!
Good night, everybody!
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one, y'all.
That.
All right, I figured out where the issue was. I accidentally put AJ in the wrong category. So, he's actually at the Cubster level. I don't know. I goofed on the.
Now, technically, the amounts that people are donating are $50. It's just $5 for that 50 is what goes to Patreon.
Correct. Which, according to Patreon, means we did not make goal. That's why it's not saying that we're at goal yet.
So probably should just wait and see if we get $5 more.
Right.
Somebody would have
There
to
we
do
go.
like $6 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, yet
So-
another of we got 4 people doing at the $10 level.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'm pretty stoked. I'm excited about how things have been developing for that so far. So
Yeah.
thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'm gonna stop streaming.